Back with you at the Hurrdat Sports Show, live from the Summit League Media Day. We have Coach Collins joining us now out of North Dakota State University. Coach, 18 wins last season. How do you hope to build off that momentum coming into this year?
Yeah, we're continuing to make steps. Was really proud of our group last year. We brought in some newcomers, with a couple veterans. We had great impact from a couple freshmen in Elle Evans and Abby Graham. That really got us going in the right direction. We were fortunate last year to get off to a great start, I think 6-0, and get some confidence and momentum into the season. But now we're here again with another young group that's coming in, but feel like we have, 6 kids that are returning with great experience. So we're kind of blending those two, the really talented newcomers with 6 returners. Makes for interesting practices, as we're working through some things. But love the direction they're going and obviously hoping to build off last year.
Yeah, how do you build off last year and then build those 2 groups? What does that off-season work look like for you guys?
Yeah, I think, letting our upperclassmen, when you have Abby Schulte and Heaven Hamling, who've both played, this is their 4th year with us. Heaven's been in college for 20 years, it seems like. Their ability to be also coaches and teachers on the floor in drills or in situations and helping to explain, whatever schemes we're working on offensively or defensively and reiterate what the coaching staff is trying to emphasize. I think that's invaluable when you have returners that are able to do that for the young guys. So, their progress hopefully is moving faster, just having upperclassmen to lean on. But it's going to be interesting. I think, our early schedule is going to be tough. And so there's going to be some ups and downs there. But hopefully, that playing experience with the young group against some talented teams in the non-con will get us ready for Summit League play.
We're going to talk with Heaven Hamlin. She's going to be up here in a little bit. But you are the only school with 2 picks on the first-team all-conference preseason list. I want to talk about your sophomore because I was incredibly impressed with Elle Evans when I saw her a year ago. She was the Summit League Freshman of the Year at 6'3". She was double figures for you, 26 out of 30 games a year ago. What makes Elle better this year? Where has she improved? What's the focus been? What'd you tell her in the off season? This is how you've got to be better from year 1 to year 2.
Well, I could talk about Elle all day if you want to. I knew as soon as we signed her that she was going to have a chance to be Freshman of the Year in our league because there was just some things she was able to do physically that were just undeniable, and that kind of size and length and athleticism.
Right.
And then you get her in and you see that the work ethic also matches. She hasn't lost a sprint in our practice since she's been on campus.
That's awesome.
And wins by half a length usually. That says a lot about her and her commitment to that. I think, when we talked in the postseason on how can you make a jump into next year, it was really the physicality, just being a more physical player. She comes in as a freshman, how you all are at 17, 18, and you're a little bit slight. Big difference between being a freshman and then going against grown women who are 22 and 23 as upperclassmen.
Yep.
She's worked really hard in the weight room.
Yeah.
We've worked on some things skill-wise. Her mid-range game is really coming along, becoming kind of automatic for her. So there's some things there basketball-wise, that have improved. Physicality's improved. We've really talked more mindset on, hey, when can I break away and be the player that everybody thinks I am? And I think, in high school she played with a super talented teammate that was also a Division I player. She was kind of second fiddle. I think she only averaged 9 points a game maybe her senior year. What didn't surprise me that she increased that, at our level and is going to do that again. But I think just the mentality of, hey, I can go make a play and wanting to do that and not be so structure-based of I'm just going to run the play is something that I'm looking forward to seeing her do. And she's shown that here in practice early.
Well, she's not a secret anymore. Everybody in this building and in this league knows about Elle Evans. So when you think about that and you look at your systems, especially on the offensive end, what are some things that you guys can do maybe to not only kickstart it as a total for the team offensively, but put her in some positions, utilize that mid-range game? How will it look different for her?
Yeah, I mean, this year it's going to be, we're going to get her to the ball in some spots and say, hey, you can, just let you cook a little bit. She is 6'3". She has gotten better around the basket. We didn't utilize her a ton in post-up opportunities, but her playing the 3 allows her some matchup opportunities against, not as big a size.
You bet.
And so she's going to get the ball a little more often this year, closer to the basket in some situations. At the same time, being able to have Heaven out there also, when you have 2 players of that caliber, it does make it more difficult defensively to key on one or the other and open some things up for other players. So I'm hoping the talent around her too will loosen things up. But I know she's going to be a focal point. She probably needs to be. She's so good. She was so good last year. I was like, hey, you could just get 6 points a game if you just, when we get the ball, you put your head down and run.
Yeah.
And she plays the 3 for us, so she runs the left side, and we probably had 25 highlights of just throw ahead, layup for her because she's so fast and was willing to run so hard. And I think that's going to be there for her as long as she wants it to be. But some of those other things in and around the basket are where I think she's going to take it to the next level.
Love it.
I want to talk about Heaven real fast, too, as well. Each year she's been in this league, she's got incrementally better, whether it be on offense or defense. Almost 100 more points each year she's been here, and also increased the steals as well. How have you seen her become a more well-rounded player during her time here at North Dakota State?
That's probably the one. I'm glad you recognize that, because that's probably the one thing I'm most proud of her about is she came in and was always a super skilled player. Athleticism was average. And she's really worked in the weight room to increase some quickness, as much as you can. You're never going to change who you really are DNA-wise.
We're stuck.
But you can improve if you're committed to it. She has improved as a basketball player every single year because she never takes a day off. She is somebody, and I can't say this about very many other players that I've ever had, she doesn't take a practice rep off. She doesn't take a possession off. She is your hardest practicing player every day. And you can say what you want about anybody else, but that's it for me. If you can do that, then we can get along great.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she's just continued to get better. I mean, she's going to have her best year this year. And I think if you go back and look, there's been a lot of fifth-year players who had their extra year that maybe didn't have as good a year as you may hope.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I think it was so different mentally. Okay, I'm a senior. Now I'm actually going to come back one round.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
She's just been, full throttle since the start of last year. Had a little knee after, but she said driving down here yesterday, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life.
That's awesome.
And so I'm looking forward to watching her.
Let's talk a little bit about schedule, because you talked about the challenge, and that's what you have to do, because you know that the Summit League is a grind. Once you get into it, you've got the Big Sky Summit League Challenge in early January as well. You're going to open at Creighton, back here in Sioux Falls at the Pentagon. You've got at Minnesota. You're going to go against Toledo. They were an NCAA tournament team. You've got Drake. You got to go to Iowa State. That's not an easy first few weeks. What do you want to see out of your kids?
Well, it doesn't sound as good after you just listed all those all in a row.
Who did that? Wait a minute. I don't know.
It always sounds good in the spring when you're putting it together, and then you actually have to start preparing and watching film, and you're like, this was not a good idea. No, I mean, we have goals of where we want to be as a program, and we have to get ready, and you have to get exposed sometimes, and you have to play that level of competition to improve at the level you want to improve and the rate you want to improve at, so that we have a chance to win the Summit League in January and February and March. And so, we're going to go play some tough teams. We're going to play some of them on the road. We're going to play some of them at neutral sites. And we're going to learn a lot about ourselves, especially those young players. But given what I know about them as people and competitors and how coachable they've been already, we're going to be able to use that for the betterment of our team. And it's not going to be a deterrent as far as, confidence or anything like that. So, if we can be anywhere 500 or close going into Summit League play, then I will be really happy for what the Summit League play is going to look like.
Absolutely.
Coach, you come in number 2 in those preseason polls that were just released today. How much weight, if any, do you put into those polls, and do you discuss that with the team on external expectations?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talk about our own expectations, and we'll talk about this for probably 6 or 7 seconds and then move on. I think, there's something to it as you're trying to build a program, as you're trying to take it somewhere that it hasn't been in the Division I era, and that obviously feels good to be picked high. But, our goal is consistency, and I want to be a 1 or 2 preseason poll from here on out. And to do that, we got to have a high level of player, and I feel like we're getting those now. And we got to continue to do that. We all know we can be the best coach or the worst coach. If you got the best guys, you're probably going to win at a high level. And we love the squad that we've put together and the potential for them to grow together here in a year or two with a young team. But, we have our own expectations, and competing for a championship is definitely there.
We've talked about a lot of players individually, but as a team and a whole, what is the identity of this team this year?
I think that's – you have to ask me again here in a few weeks as we get a little more practice in there. I can tell you what I'd like it to be. This is going to be our probably longest and most athletic team that I've had. We should be – on paper, we should be disruptive defensively with some of that length and ability to do different things on the defensive end. And then our ability to run the floor should be as good as most teams that we play this year. Just we have some great athletes that can really move and are also happen to be 6'2" and 6'3" as well. So if we can find ways to utilize that, I think fast transition offense and disruptive defense will be what we probably hang our hat on.
Well, Coach Collins, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to Heaven Hamling coming up next. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.